Sandra.
And I'm Hayway.
And together we are duoduoyeah. And today we have Maxy, who will be sharing a little bit about her grieving journey. Maxy, would you like to share a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Maxy. I'm a freelance pianist and currently I'm Kawaii Malaysia Artist and Ambassador.
Would you like to share a little bit about the initial process of your grieving journey?
Yeah. So my father passed away in 2021 due to COVID-19, and it all happened very sudden. Within 2 weeks. That's the very first major grief in my life that happened.
Okay. So evidently, like, music is a really, really big part of your life. Do you feel like the relationship, like, with music has changed ever since your father passed?
Yeah. Actually, I listen to like way less music since he passed away, and I would say little to no music, and I crave silence all the time. But interestingly, the evening when my father passed away, there were 3 songs that like intuitively came to me, like one after another.
Wow.
Yeah, like when I just received this news, and I just play them, and since then I've been playing them on repeat, like on loop, like during my grief. And whenever that I need them to comfort me, or when I feel down.
Do you feel like the music is still very present in your life right now? Because it happened in 2021 and it's been 2 years. Do you find yourself still going back to that three music for comfort?
Oh, okay. So the grief just past 2 years. They are still very present, but they have been less than it used to be. So right now I just started listening to other songs, like being more open to it. But before that, I just keep listening to these 3 songs, and plus another album that my uncle sent to me when my dad passed away. The album is by my favorite artist, so I will just play these 3 songs on that album on repeat. Yeah.
Were any of those songs grief related at all? Or did you feel like you interpret it that way, or not at all?
I think the 3 songs, because they just like came to my mind, I don't know why, and then when I played them I just felt comfort, a sense of comfort, while the other album is, I think because it's by my favorite artist and her voice is very calming, like when she sings.
Okay.
Yeah. Interestingly, I didn't listen to them, the 3 songs, as frequent like when my dad was still alive.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's just like after he passed away that evening, I don't know why, I just had the urge to go play that song. So the first song came, and then maybe another 20 minutes, another song came. So there were 3 songs in total. And so I then created a playlist for them.
Right.
And I just playing them on repeat.
So do you listen one after another, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 all the time, or sometimes 2, 3, 1 or 3? Yeah.
Most of the time, yes. There were just, I think, rare 1 or 2 times that I just want to switch.
Yeah.
I skip, yes.
Did that give you a different type of feeling when you switch it up? Were you aware that you switched it up?
I think I was in another mood that I just want to switch first. But most of the time I would just, they are in order. Like
They are in order. Very interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Like, do you think like throughout this grieving process, have your relationship with instrument changed?
Yeah, I think of course. Actually, when the last few months of when my dad was still alive, I have been what's the word? I want to rebuild my relationship with piano. So I play the piano, and I played the piano for many years. I have a love-hate relationship with the instrument.
I think we all feel the same way as Asian kids.
Yeah. So in that year 2021, I've been more conscious in playing the instrument. So I played less. There's less mindless practicing, but. When my dad passed away, I found myself playing it even lesser.
Ah, okay.
And there were a few times when I was drawn to the instrument. Like, I really feel like playing out a few notes. And when I play, like I think I played some simple music. I felt the depth of the connection between me and the instruments have deepened.
Wow.
Like since then. Yeah.
Do you still like remember like what is the emotion that suddenly draw you to play the instrument at that time?
I think it's the urge to express emotions. Yeah.
Okay. Did you like, you know, when you say your emotion deepened, I mean like your connection deepened,
Yeah.
or was it love for the instrument or like
Or is it more complicated?
I don't think it's love, but I it's a strange or interesting experience to me. I found the piano or the instrument and I become like more in one. So I think it's less, I don't know whether it's love, maybe it's love and more, I don't know. So we are kind of like merged into one.
Yeah, and that's very interesting because I mean a piano, an instrument to just normal, I guess normal people who are like non-musicians, it's a thing.
It's a thing and I'm a human. That's the type of relationship.
Yeah, but I feel like for musicians we have possibly a different kind of connection with our instrument because it's almost like our voice.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Like you said, like you felt like playing a piano because you wanted to express.
Yeah, like help me voice out something
Yeah.
that I can't formulate any words
To it.
to say. Yeah.
So music, you know, as we all know, can evoke very powerful emotions.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you avoided certain type of music because it was just like too much to handle, or you feel just very overwhelmed just by listening to certain music?
Oh yes, I avoided all kinds of music except those 3 songs and the album all the time. Like when I drove out and then sometimes I could hear music play from restaurants. They are usually those hits, right? Pop songs or mainstream music, but they have a beats, like stronger beats than the music that I listen. I found that it's my body found it too much to take. Like there's like too much weight, and I kind of just avoid listening. And especially radio, during that period I found radio is very noisy to me, and I just
The speaking part or just the whole
it's just
thing?
noise, constant noise all the time. There's no
There's no
silence,
breaks.
right? Yeah, that's the nature of radio, I understand. But especially those hits or pop songs or new songs that they would play, right? I found that I get irritated very easily that time.
So like that 3 songs that you listen to, I'm sure there are songs which are similar vibes to it. Like did you feel that irritability as well that you find with like, you know, hit pop music, or you could sort of accept?
I was not open to listening to new music that time. Like even though that has similar vibe, they might have some irritability, but not as much as those that I just mentioned.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So strictly that 3 songs and 1 album.
Yeah, and silence.
Wow.
Just
You know, like it just reminded me like one of our professors used to say, psychology of music is not just with rhythm,
Yeah.
not just with lyrics, not just with the melody, but it's also
Yeah.
the frequency. So like I find that like it just made me reflect, like, you know, like hit music has a lot of bass in it
yeah.
a lot of times, and radio is a lot of mids, a lot of mid frequencies that may be triggering in some form, and I was like,
Yeah.
light bulb moment suddenly. So moving on, like, do you think like there are certain music that immediately helps you to shift emotions when you hear it?
Those 3 music and the album of my favorite artists, when I play them, they kind of comfort me. So there's a sense of comfort when I listen to them.
Okay.
So I could describe it, it's almost like I got a blanket over me when I listen to them, and when grief is strong or heavy some days, that I need them and they help me feel more grounded, like when I listen to them while driving and such. And also, and in a way I feel connected to my grief when I listen to them.
connected to your grief. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Currently, if you listen to other songs, is there any other types of emotions that you feel now then?
Currently, I just open myself a little to listen to new music.
Okay.
There was a period of time when I encountered a song called Wake Me Up When September Ends. And it's also a song about grief. But the song, it's like a rock song.
Yes.
Yes. And yeah. And when I listen to it, I groove with the song. Like I could follow the beat, and it made me started thumping on the floor, and I don't know why I feel rage. I could feel my rage in my grief, and I could connect to other emotions in grief through that song, and I also feel very liberating and free. Like when I shout together with the singer, and then it comes with my tears afterwards, and I just feel liberating.
Okay, so you're saying that like that 3 songs that comforted you, you didn't feel any of this like
No,
Similar.
yeah,
they are more comforting. Like like
Okay.
that kind of.
okay.
Would you say like because right now you're opening up to new music, right? Does that also mean like you're moving into different stages of grief?
Yeah, I think maybe I'm moving like phases, another phase. Those 3 music and the album, they are still like influencing to me, influential to me, and but their grip to me is like lesser already. So I kind of
Like, are the new music that you're listening to now similar to the 3 songs?
Oh no, I'm really open to
Different genres.
new good music lah.
Okay.
And then I will just be so interesting, like this structure or what.
New
so
vibes.
it's less connected to the grief already.
It's more
Yeah.
artistic.
Yeah, or like being curious to listen to other songs.
Okay.
I think one more question I would like to ask is, you said that those 3 songs were very comforting, but were there sadness that came with the comfort? So like now, let's say if you play the song right now, does it comfort you or does it remind you of the grief?
Comfort me. So to me, they are less about like bringing tears, but they are really just comfort.
Blanket
Oh.
feeling.
Yeah.
Okay, very interesting. So we talk so much about how music affects you mentally. Have you ever felt physical pain during the grief process?
I remember having migraines like here and there, and sometimes other parts of my body ache, but they are short-lived. They are not like very long-term. Because I was reading a book about grief, and it mentioned that this is a normal part of the grief process. So I didn't panic much.
What are like the example of like the physical pains apart from migraine that you were experiencing?
Stomach ache, and sometimes I remember maybe aches in my leg.
Muscles.
Muscles.
Muscle tightness. Okay. And you felt that it's every time you felt the grief that these pains came with it?
No, it came randomly, like out of nowhere. Like
okay.
when I'm not really present in my grief, I'm not crying or what, I'm just doing something or writing, and
Right.
suddenly this happened.
Right.
Like that happened. Yeah.
Okay.
So grief is very physical. I think we
Yeah.
all agree.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think are some most useful strategy for yourself that you use to cope?
Go to nature. That's my most favorite, like number 1 strategy.
So what do you do like when you're with nature?
I'll just go for a walk. Just walk, and sometimes nature, they make sounds, right? Like when the wind breathes and there's trees, and I would just look at trees. Sometimes these trees are like more interesting to me, and sometimes I see butterflies. Butterflies has been a very a comfort sign to my grief.
Very
in the first 2
significant.
years.
Symbolic.
Yeah, and sometimes there are birds, and when I hear the birds chirping, and it just feels so alive. Yeah. Sometimes when I saw leaves that falls from a tree, that made me cry suddenly because it triggered my grief. But at the same time, I connected to myself even more. because because it happened that I get to express certain emotions out and feel more connected in some sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when you said like the butterfly was very symbolic to you, it reminded me of your photo shoot.
Yes.
That it was around the theme
Yes.
of the cocoon and the butterfly.
Yes.
Is that, yeah?
I think I've heard many stories about when someone close to us passed away. That is,
The butterfly is like coming to
Yeah.
visit you.
Yeah, it happened to me. That's very interesting. One night there was a butterfly stay on the dining table, and then for around 20 minutes. So because I was living with my mom, and I told my mom, hey, see the butterfly, and then my mom was like, oh, okay. And it's strange that it stayed there for a long time, and then I just didn't put attention on it afterwards. I just went to practice the piano because the next day I have a shoot with Carl, right? So when I go to practice, I saw the butterflies already like staying on the piano. Then I was shocked. And
wow, I just got goosebumps.
yeah, I got goosebumps that time too. It stages on the piano. And and I started playing my dad's favorite song. And then the butterfly flew around like on top of the lens.
Oh my gosh.
And for a few rounds, and after I finished the song, it already gone. Yeah, I think it flew out. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
In case you guys don't know like what picture we're referring to, maybe we'll share a link to her photo shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her Instagram account where you can see all the beautiful photos, which actually I cried when I saw those photos. It just like resonated to me so much, and I could feel your grief through the photos. And I'm not sure if you were aware also. I was like because your dad was a huge part of your life. Like when I say like, obviously everyone's dad is huge part, but like when you said that he fetched you like to music classes and waited for you sometimes and back and forth and things like that, like it reminded so much about my relationship with my dad. And I could feel the pain, or I don't know how to empathize so much that when your dad passed, like I was feeling very, 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 very heavy, and like I remember just so affected by it. Which I'm not close to you, but I felt that pain so much. So when I saw that those photos, I just thought it was like the most beautifully like put together photo that represents grief.
Thank you for telling me that. Because the first 2 years, yes, butterfly has been a strong comfort sign to me in grief. And when I discussed this with the photographer who agreed to do this project with me, and she was very encouraging, and like she construct this concept together with me about what about we do this, so there is a stages yes, and I love that.
And I think like that's the power of art. Like it just compensates when words cannot make up for it.
So it goes to our last question, is like, what would you like to share to people, I guess, that has recently or not recently lost someone but is still very greatly affected by the loss?
I think it's very hard when like Sandra, when you send me the question, I look at the question and I thought for a long time to know what to say, because I don't know what to say. I mean, it's very hard, and but you are not alone. Like I know it's a journey that you have to go through. You can like
take your time, don't worry.
Everyone grieves differently. Some people cry a lot or don't cry at all. It's all normal in grief. And because everyone grieves differently, so you are on your own journey of grief. And when you have the energy, you may you can try out different things to do or that can bring you comfort. For me, I still go to nature a lot, and it helped ground me. And I also journal. I sometimes read books about grief. That helps a lot because I learn a lot about grief and how normal all the experience that I have been experiencing is, and that reassure me a lot. And you may just sit in silence with yourself. That may bring you comfort, and all these things. Once you experience it, if it works, if it brings even just a little comfort, you can write them down, track them. So whenever you need it, you may just come back to them anytime. And but grief also evolves. So for me, my current grief is not like the day one or the first year in grief anymore, and I'm still learning what ways that I can bring more gentleness or more comfort to myself when I need it. And all the time you need to be gentle on yourself. And even if it's hard to be kind to yourself, turning towards the direction is enough already.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think most importantly, grief is so different for everyone. I guess that's why it may feel like it's a very lonely journey, but you're not alone. You are always surrounded by many things. To me, nature is a big part.
Okay. And you mentioned I was thinking about the interview that you had with the psychologist regarding secondary grief. Is that what the term is?
Secondary loss. So I learned this term secondary loss in the book that I read about grief. It's called It's Okay That You're Not Okay by Megan Devine. I highly recommend this book. Secondary loss refer to the other losses that happen in your life apart from the grief. So it is very normal to have that, because once when a person who's close to you passed away, the dynamic that used to be present is gone, and that may affect other dynamics and other relationships that you have that around you. And to me, I also changed a lot, because I changed a lot as a person since grief. Grief is I would say a roller coaster of change. And embracing the change is hard. It's very hard. But you need to be gentle with yourself. Some days it's hard to do that. It's okay. And some relationships that used to be present may not serve me anymore. Once my dad passed away, they changed because I changed too as a person, and that's okay. That serve a purpose, and you can honor them as it is the relationship.
Okay.
I think it's because grief also comes in very different forms. For example, it can be a loss of relationship without a death as well.
Without death being involved.
I agree. Because since this grief that happened to me, that I learned that actually there are many other little and not little grief that around us in our lives. That makes me more aware of that, and I think we need to embrace that. As a human beings, we need to learn that more. So they're so closely related to us.
And you're more aware of that after you went through the big grief.
I'm still going through, to be honest, but I am I'm supported by the grief book that I just mentioned, and also there's grief community on social media that's very helpful to me, and they have bite-sized content about grief that make non-grieving and grieving people more aware about what's normal in grief actually.
That also reminds me, do you know that we have a grief center in Malaysia?
I know that. have.
Yes, it's
Where
the
is it?
first grief center in Kuching. It's called Grieve. It was
DE.
Di Hati,
and then
like
grief.
DEEHATI, Di Hati Grief Center. It's our first grief center in Malaysia, but they do online support, so it's free
Oh, that's very
for
good.
anyone who wants to sign up for the grief support.
So we have come to the end of our conversation. Is there anything else that you want to add, Maxy? Or
Oh, yeah, I think also follow their duoduoyeah platform. They're doing great awareness on music and therapy. And today we talk about grief. I think it's a very important topic, and I think it's a topic that needs great awareness that they ever like before. Yeah.
I think it definitely needs, like what you say, greater awareness than before because of COVID. And it's still a prolonged process that people are still experiencing. So don't be shy, don't be hesitant to reach out for help. Help is always there. Just reach out. Yes.
And we're here.
Thank you, everyone, and that's it for today.
Bye.